Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to talk to you about how the narcissists, they struggle in your absence, especially when you're the primary source of supply and you are the empath, the curse breaker. So let's jump in. The narcissists, they form this mask. And how is it formed? How do they really truly become a narcissist? Well, part of what leads them into this, entices them or confuses them into this role as the narcissist. It's evil from start to finish. So they should have never played around with it. This is how it led to where they are today. Of course that they put the mask on, so they fake, they will do things to impress people. They will impersonate other people's stories, their personalities, they'll embody them and try to act as them. They try to be that, steal that, and embody it. What kind of happens to the narcissist is they go down this road of lying so much, it becomes their complete embodiment. It gets to a place and a point in time to where they actually believe it themselves, whatever role they're playing, whatever caricature that they are in. A lot of times when they get into these character roles, they play them for a long time. They liked whoever they stole it from or copied it from. It's all a lie. Every story behind that personality is going to be a bunch of stories that are plugged into it that are all other people's, none of which are theirs. Or if it is theirs, it's highly lied about. It's either overtold, meaning they make themselves look glorious, or a major victim when it wasn't that at all. This causes confusion in the individual, but it also causes them to look at life aloof. If they don't have any purpose, any meaning, by the time those kind of thoughts would start to creep up, it's kind of too late, because this stuff starts to solidify to a point to where they're almost going through the motions and addicted to it, or addicted to what they get from it. And that becomes the mask. And the mask is the only thing that they are loyal to. They realize at some point in time that they're in an addiction-ship with people. They're addicted to people and getting energized by telling these great stories about how great they were or how bad they were mistreated. They start to get over on people. They start to feel the adrenaline when they abuse people, when they put people down. They feel like they are perfect in this state. At some point in time, they're addicted to the rush. You got to understand, they started from this shame and guilt, and they didn't have the mask. But what they should have done is be as authentic as they could have been, or at least went down the road of not trying to hurt individuals to start. But they don't. They're the type that's by any means necessary. They play out who they are and what their destiny is. They are in their destiny. So that's how it kind of starts. And how they get to missing you in your absence, if you were that type of empath, if you were that generational curse breaker, then you will be missed heavily, because what they do first, they will meet you, and then they will cultivate getting to know you just like anybody else would, except they are seeing other sources of supply while they're trying to get to know you. And they probably, at least two of them probably think that they're in a real relationship with them. And then they have other sources. But they do love what happens when you two are together. But then you got to throw the pathology involved and all of this sadism, meaning that they get adrenaline and they enjoy, and they're addicted to hurting you. It's got a couple of folds to it. It's kind of a sad story. Any way you look at the narcissistic story, it's sad. And they did it for so long, they just lost themselves. As much as it may hurt, you have to stay away from them because they're evil. But evil always looks good. It's enticing. That's how they got drawn in. How this works is they find somebody who's a strong individual, somebody who's solid, they're strong, they have a good heart, and maybe they have some childhood injuries, and they're down and out, maybe spiritually or psychologically for a time, because they're going through some things and burdens. And so that's what people talk about when they're talking about the narc vibration, stuff like that, or evildoers, and make covenants with them like the narcissist. All this stuff kind of happens, but it can also happen on your own if you have Brevan Overload. Brevan Overload is in hospitalization, where an individual will have several horrendous things happen in their life in a short period of time and they're heavily depressed. They can feel like it's never going to end because the pain is so bad, and it can travel on for years. If you had a breakup, a divorce, a death, and these things doubled on top of each other, a loss of your lifestyle, everything, all this happening brings you down and you just don't know how to get out of it. It won't last forever, but it could, depending on how you look at things and how you operate in regards and response to that, or how you react to that. And so you got to be careful and vigilant. But these are also ways that you get caught up with a narcissist. You get to that point, and then you're friendly to the narcissist, and the next thing you know, they now start to get to know you, size you up, learn more, data mine, and then they target you. Maybe you like the idea of them. You can get drawn in by charisma or looks, and because you're getting love bombed or something, or a lot of times an empath could say, well, I'm going to just test this out and see how it goes because I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm going to be in reserve with them. But you can't do that with the narcissist. Even when you think you are, you'll find out right away after cycle 1 ends how hooked you really are. And these are some of the traps you can get into. I'm going over this so that you understand how this stuff works before I go over why they're going to regret you or why they struggle without you. There's a lot of people that they may have grown up in decent, better homes where they didn't deal with the ability, they're healthier in the fact that they won't be able to be cast under the spell. So the narcissist isn't going to do very much for them. They may do nothing at all. But typically, a lot of people don't put up with what a narcissist hands out these days. Not like they used to. Also, there wasn't information out like it is today. But you also are dealing with a lot more narcissists out there because it's now perpetuated to a point to where a menace to society. But that just hurts them because what happens is you have a bunch of narcissists out there now and you have few people that truly love. And because there's few people that truly love, when a narcissist gets a hold of somebody like that, they want to nail them down so quick it ain't funny. And then you got to separate how many empaths that are at that level of love and then grew up in that family and have that love. See, because if they have that love, but they didn't grow up in these families, they're not going to be cast under the spell like you were, because it's a generational thing. Or the narcissist may not do anything for them. These are things that they're dealing with. So they have to fake it to make it with you. They have to mirror yourself back to you the best they can. They can only do it for a short time. They get frustrated and they don't have the fuel to do it. The fuel to fake is so hard, y'all. I mean, as far as it's energy draining in a major way. It's something that eventually you'll just have to become yourself to some degree behind closed doors. And that's what happens. How they feel comfortable is they get somebody that's a strong individual. Maybe they're in a down spot right now, but they see how their potential is, or they'll also see everything around you. And you may feel down and out in your spirit, your mind, your heart. So what happens? The narcissist has more or less a source of supply that is maybe their main source, or they have a couple that they go back and forth, they ping pong back and forth from. But they're not to that level of that empath status, that's primary source supply, fuel matrix type. They may have never seen it. So they have these types, but they're not high value, meaning they're similar in level of bad deeds they do. Their moral value is low. They're hard to be trusted, most of them, but not all. I'm not saying that about all of them, but generally these are things that you're going to find that the narcissist is going to be with. Or they're going to be not even they don't really have a type, but they do like certain qualities, like maybe somebody who's got it put together because they're not. Somebody who is organized because they're not. Somebody who's safe to be around because they're not. They never feel safe. Somebody with attraction, somebody with charisma, somebody who has some sort of clout. Clout to me is kind of like you build clout. You build clout. You build relationships with people because of the qualities of your moral ethics and your hard work and things like that, where people, they stamp you as being solid and they can trust you. And the narcissist loves that because they want to be able to break down somebody strong. That makes them feel grandiose, superior, and to that God status. If you're going to be Somebody that's not to that level, it doesn't do anything for the narcissist. It doesn't do it. And if you are a individual that has moral ethic, and you're really trying to do well with others and for yourself, and looking out for people and caring and loving and kind, this is what the narcissist wants. This kind of fuel is the best fuel to wear, to trade with. And these are usually individuals that will absorb all of their negative energy and not even know what they're doing. So they like these types, but it also makes them look good because when they're with you, you're already stamping them as a good individual because you wouldn't pick somebody bad or evil. But because they faked it and you were in a hurt place in your life, you met them, you got on their level of energy, this occurred. And now what's happening is they have you. But that's where they really feel comfortable. And this is where they really gain a lot of power, a lot of clout themselves in an evil way. Because your fuel gives them the power of innocence and the ability to know how to operate in a more moral, ethical way, but not be that at all. Because when they're with you for a period of time, they're chameleons and they're very good at copying. They're very good at, and they steal your fuel on a daily basis. And they start to understand how you think to some degree. So they're able to, when they're in your presence and stuff, time after time after time, or your in-house source supply, and you're able to generate that fuel more than others because you grew up in these homes and you were used to it on a daily basis because people in the homes were abusing and using your fuel and stealing your fuel. So it was nothing new to you, except this is at another level. They go out there and they look way better than if they were to get somebody that was more on their level of vibration and switch energy. Because if they switch energy with somebody similar to their level, they're not going to get any elevation out of that. It's going to be like apples for apples. You know, it's the same thing, same fuel level. So they need a different type of fuel level than the level they have. They can always convert your good fuel into evil fuel. That's the other thing. The empath always accepts all the evil and gives all their good. When they really start to treat you bad is when they know they get you hooked. When they know they have you hooked is when they feel comfortable that you're not going to leave, and that's when they'll spend a lot less time with you. And out the door they go, and they're cheating on you more and more because they look more attractive because they're wearing your fuel. They look more innocent. They look more of an ethical individual. They're cloaked better. So they also feel comfortable and protected and know that you got their back and you're the one that roots them down. They come home to you every day. Now, they may treat you like crap, but they still come home to you every day. So they really start to get a lot of source supply when they have the primary nailed down, a good primary, because they feel comfortable doing it. And when they get you, and then they break you down a lot. You start to, if you're a truth teller, they represent you and you represent them. And you start to see through these cracks at some point in time, even on a daily basis a little bit, maybe not to the extent of knowing the complete truth. So you may not call them out on everything. But what you will do is start to make them accountable for things that you do catch them in, or the things that they're talking about doing that are not ethical. They're morally challenged, so to speak. And so when you do things like that, you cause this narcissist injury every time because they're only loyal to this mask. And anytime that you question them in a way that goes against what they want to do, let's say morally or ethically, or they're lying or something, and you're calling them out on it, you're actually going against the mask. That's the false self. And the mask is what brings them in the money, y'all. I mean, so to speak, the fuel. So they could never part with the mask because that's what they would consider their saving grace. But they're backwards. The mask is actually the deception that ends up being their destruction and devastation, and they're the thing that questions their soul. But they start to get into this role of your fuel continues to pump them up, make them more pompous. And you get a covert narcissist that's antisocial will start to become almost overt with you to where they are pompous, y'all. I mean, it comes out. They're always pompous, but they usually hide it better and they're more passive aggressive. But they'll get overt with you at some point because you keep fueling them. And it's good fuel. And they can't control themselves. So they get in their head that they don't need you. All you do is try to make them accountable. So the whole time when they meet you, they're telling all their flying monkeys and family and friends and coworkers, whoever, that you're the problem. So what they're doing is they're also projecting negative energy on the people they're around. They're projecting their stuff onto other people and blaming you. And this is how the smear campaign starts from day one. But they also keep you isolated. So when they keep you isolated, you don't even know it's happening. And they'll say stuff like, don't tell him, but this is how he was acting, or this is what he was doing, or this is what he did to me. And none of it's true, but they're actually projecting who they are. And it's got to come out. The truth's got to come out. So it kind of comes out this way. So then what happens is they'll discard you, or you'll discard them, whatever, because you'll had enough. Then all these people will hate you. And it's not that the smear campaign started at the end of the relationship. It's been going on the whole time. The people didn't show it too much, unless you were keen. You'll catch some mannerisms or some whispers or something. But after the relationship ends, you will get keen to it because it'll be more overt as well, because they're going to act like that you're the bad person. They still may not tell you. So you're going to get all these side eyes and from people that you thought you were cool with, and you don't know why. Or they won't tell you because the narcissist told them not to say anything or something. But people whisper all the time. They can't hold nothing in. So it gets out, and the narcissist knows it's going to get out. They're the news reporters. That's what I call them. So this is kind of how it works. But the narcissists, they were so used to you, they forgot what it was like without you. See, because when they met you, they were in the dumps. They had no fuel. If they had a fuel tank, it was on empty. When they met you, they were with you long enough, and you were nice enough, maybe a little naive, but you were trying to keep the peace. You were trying to help them, trying to support them, trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, trying to love them, trying to get breadcrumbs from them, and thought that there was hope and faith and a chance. When really, after the infatuation of you, they didn't give a damn. And that type of stuff shows you really how they really are. They do these types of things, and then when they lose you, it starts to really play on them. And a lot of times they don't show it. And a lot of times you will chase them. You'll run after them to try to fix it. Work harder. Show them that you're better than whatever they have in their mind, their thoughts. And that just makes it worse because now you're fueling them more. So with you in the background, fueling them like that, or being in-house fueling them like that, they don't need another source of supply because they are corded up to you and they're getting it from you every day. And if they need another jolt, they could just either have sex with you, they can come over and probably coax you into that, or they will give you a call and breadcrumb you along. You just accepting everything and you apologizing and all this stuff, which gives them heavy validation. They need that fuel, and they know they can just come back and get you, so they have you already. You're still their source of supply. So until you cut them off and really mean it and do it, like not a drop of water comes out of your fountain. I mean, like you shut that thing off and you throw the wrench away. Not one drop of water comes out of your faucet for them. That fuel tanker is shut off. They pull their car up, man, and not a drop of fuel come out. Not at your pump. And when this happens, everything else around them falls apart. And you may not even know it or see it. But they have a heavy struggle with this. Because they don't have you anymore. And you were supplying 80% of their fuel. And it was great fuel. So where do they get that 80% of fuel? It's almost like if you have a deficit, you got to pay for it. Where are you going to get the money? You have an 80% deficit. So your aura, that you were stealing off that individual. It's going to be great when they're with you and corded up to you and devaluing you from not even having to see you. They could look at you and get your fuel. If you're down and out, that energizes them. They love that. They love when you're crying, when you're begging them or apologizing to them. Will do anything to get them back, chasing them, calling them, answering their calls, answering the door, anything. They don't need to be with you. They could just be running around with these side supplies. But see, when you're not there anymore, one of a few things is going to happen. They're either going to have to go back to one of those supplies that sucked. That was like, say, somebody 20 or 30 years older than them, but they were willing to be their source of supply, right? Because it's transactional, so it's a safe spot for them. Or another narcissist and somebody like 30 years older than them, and they'll go back and forth between them. They both suck. This is what they have to do now. You were who they liked everything about it. They don't treat you that way, but inside they loved it. And so they get comfortable. And then they want to they will actually turn you into this parental figure. To where now you'll become like you'll feel like you're their father or something. But they'll also, see, that's what they want. They want you to be the one that praises them like their father did or their mother did, whatever, the people in the family. Just praise them all the time, even though they're doing bad crap out there and doing bad crap in the house and cheating and lying, whatever. You're still going to praise them, build up the mask, give them an open door to do whatever they want, cheat on you, whatever, have no accountability. And then you pay the bills. You wash the dishes. You raise the kids. You wash and dry and fold the clothes. You make the bed. You work extra shifts. This type of stuff. And you get parentified. And then you also get this like mother-son dynamic or father-daughter dynamic. There's this disconnect, so you're trying to help them. And you got to get real remedial with them. So when they lose you, they lose these sources of supply out here. And they don't feel confident anymore. They don't feel secure. They don't have that fuel. They don't have that drive. They don't have that energy. They don't have that stability. So they either got to run around here to 20 different people having sex with them to get the same amount of fuel they were with you and 2 other sources of supply in the background. And I'm not saying any of it's good. I'm just telling you that this is how it works. Or they get these people that they really don't want to be around, but they have to because they're the only ones that are available for the pain and the suffering that they entail, that entails with being with them. These are people that they would hide on purpose because they're not their type. Now, they isolate you, but they would take you out on events to where when they're with these people, they're not even going to bother taking them out on events. They won't tell people about them most of the time. And then they always look single. These people, they're going to only see in private. But they beat you down for 2 different reasons. They beat you down because you're a high value individual and you are good morally and ethically, and you are a strong individual that walks it, lives it, and has integrity. And if they can beat you down, then it gives them a lot of value and it helps them to feel like this God status. The other reason is the more trauma that they pump into you, the harder it will be for you to go get somebody else, that you'll be waiting for them when they want to come back, that you will isolate yourself, that you won't feel confident to do anything. So this is where they struggle. And this is the deal. If they can't get somebody at your level of fuel and encouragement and the things that come with you, meaning your relationships, your name, what it represents to people out there, and your clout, you may have a well-rounded everything. You're in order, you do everything, you give good love, you care, you have integrity, they feel safe with you. I mean, everything that they would want. So they may not miss you, but they miss every quality of you. They just don't know how to handle it. and destroy anything good in their life. They only care about that mask, and they care about getting fuel and doing whatever the hell they want by any means necessary. But when they don't have you and you cut them off, they're illusionists, master manipulators, they're clowns. They fake everything. So when they're out there, this is the truth of it. And if they can't beat your source, your fuel supply, or your quality of what you represent, and they can't get somebody out there exactly like that, at that level or greater, they're always seeking the next level in supply, then they will never be straight in the head. They will never get over the situation of what they lost. That's my point. Do they move on? Yes, they move on. Do they love you? No, they don't love you. But the situation, but see, you got to understand what you represent and everything that entails you is a lot of you, who is you. So it's in a weird way. That's kind of how it works. But they also come to you because they have to be infatuated, look up to you, and love a lot of things about you for them to come to you and make you that primary source as well. Because they're envious of you. And they wouldn't come to somebody they weren't envious of. Now, when it comes to the secondary, tertiary supplies, not the case. It's not the case. A lot of times the flings are just impulse things and off adrenaline and just for lust and this and that. They could care less if the other forms of supply most of the time come or go. It doesn't affect them. They can always get those. That's my point. They can't always get you. And then if they have to find that quality greater or the same. And then here's the other thing. They may have never met somebody with that type of quality of fuel. So it could be 10 more years before they meet somebody like that. It could be 20. It could never happen. And so this is why they struggle when you aren't around anymore, or you've moved on and you're happy and you come out there and you come out the gate and you bust it down. You don't walk in no pity and down and out. Listen, I've been there, so I'm not harping on anybody. I know it's horrible, okay? But I'm saying is if I can empower you, you don't need them. The good thing is you're woke to this. Now, just sometimes right in the very beginning, you got to do each day, just put one foot in front of the other and keep everything together and heal. But you got to be active in your pursuit of healing and getting over these fools. And that's why you want to go to no contact, because they will spell you in just 5 minutes when you're that susceptible at that level, because you're wired to want them at that point. You're addicted to them. And you got to fight your lust and your flesh and your mind, because they get you splitting the good, them, the bad one. The one that tells the truth, the one that lies. The innocent child, the evil destroyer. All these different things that make you split. And humanity is not meant to think like that. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, right? So that's what happens. And a lot of times it can cause a narcissist injury. And it may not happen right away, but it'll happen. Because for a long time, they also think that they can get you back. And it takes a little while for that to dawn on them. Almost nobody turns them down when they go for these right targets. They strategically pick targets they can spell. It may seem like some sort of instinct to them, but that's how it works. They don't go to people that aren't going to be somewhat susceptible, that they feel that they're a challenge, but they feel pretty confident after they kind of data mine you and hang out with you a little bit, get to know you, although you don't get to know them because they're lying all the time and cheating and stealing, whatever. But that once they size you up, they don't just go out with people like that when it comes to that source seat position. And then when you go through the smear campaign, everybody that goes against you, that's one thing. And a lot of times those people are just susceptible too. They don't really understand. They feed into the mask because they look pretty good out there. But see, when they're not with you anymore, they start to crumble because they can't put that mask on as good. It don't shine like it did. It doesn't shine like it used to because you ain't around to fuel them anymore. And that's why you got to cut them off. But you got to fight this stuff and you got to get away. This is the deal. The people that will defy you for the narcissist, with the narcissist, they're going to end up on the chopping block too. And that's when it's going to hit them that you weren't the problem. The narcissist was. But by then it's going to be too late. You're going to have blocked them out of your life because it's like they did you. You just want to be done with the whole thing. And if they're with them, you don't want to be with them at all. So by the time they smarten up to it, you don't want nothing to do with them. And it'll be probably years down the road or a year down the road. You'll be doing something else. And then it'll hit them right in the head, the same thing that you went through, but it may be in the friend factor. But the narcissist, they don't keep any relationship. They trash everybody because they're destroyers. They cannot build a Lego home, y'all, without breaking the Legos. So anyway, that's all for today. If you can give me a like, subscription, thumbs up. Love y'all. Till next time. Yeah.